Ah yes, the Touhou Project, an infamous Dan-maku, or bullet hell shooter, known for its damn near impossible levels, catchy music and endless fan-made stuff. Yeah, I have no words for this. It's also been given different titles, such as a shmup, as the young hip folk like to call them these days. Oh yes, and the character portraits from these are terrible. Don't look at them for too long or they'll stare into your soul and destroy you. But let's stop there for a second. If you're watching this video, then you must know something about Touhou. If you're watching this and you do know stuff about Touhou, good, now you know something. For those of you who don't, this is what this video is for. You will now know by the end of this fine-ass video, what exactly is Touhou? Touhou is a series of doujin vertical-scrolling bullet hell shooter games, developed by Team Shanghai Alice. I say team, it's really one person. It's all Zune. He makes the games, he programs it all, he does the art, he does the music. It's amazing! He's like a superhero. Or a god. At the time of this video being published, there are 21 Touhou games. 21! That is a lot. The first 5 of which were released exclusively in Japan for the PC98 series, which is a Japanese console before Windows XP took over the world, being awesome and amazing and perfect. In any case, let's start by naming each and every single one of those 21 fantastic games, starting from the first one being released in 1996. Highly responsive to prayers. The Story of Eastern Wonderland, Phantasmagoria of a Dimensional Dream, Lotus Land Story, Mystic Square, and now onto the Windows generation of Touhou games. The Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, Perfect Cherry Blossom, Immaterial and Missing Power, Imperishable Night, Phantasmagoria of Flower View, Shoot the Bullet, Mountain of Faith, Scarlet Weather Rhapsody, Subterranean Animism, Undefined Fantastic Object, Touhou Hiso Tensoku. Double spoiler. This one goes by 2 names, Great Fairy Wars or just Fairy Wars. 10 Desires, Hopeless Masquerade, Double Dealing Character. And finally, Impossible Spell Card. Oh yeah, and then there's the fan-made games. I tell you, there's too many of them to name. But I will say one thing, the Touhou fandom has remade Castlevania twice. Twice! Really well, too! Let's get into gameplay mechanics. You can use the arrow keys to change your direction around the screen. However, keep in mind that this speed changes depending on the character you choose. For example, Marisa Kirasame is considered the fastest character, whereas Hakurei Reimu is considered the slowest character. Sakuya Izeoi, on the other hand, is considered a nice balance between the two. However, Zune occasionally forgets to put her in the games. You can use the shift button to slow down your movement speed and also reveal your hitbox from Embodiment of Scarlet Devil onwards. This allows for better navigation of the more complex spell cards on the higher difficulties. You can press the Z key to release a short barrage of Danmaku, or it's easier just to hold it down and release unrelenting terror and pain upon your opponents. You can use a bomb by pressing the X button whenever you have enough bomb icons in the earlier games, or if you have enough power as located on the screen. Simply put, the more power you have, the more bombs you can use. Let's move on to hitboxes and grazing. By holding shift, you reveal your hitbox and slow down, allowing for much more accurate movement, as I said before. Your hitbox generally appears as a little red dot in the middle of your character sprite, and this changes size depending on which character you chose. The hitbox of bosses and mid-bosses are much bigger than their own sprites, like you can see in this picture here. This is to allow the player to actually hit the boss or mid-boss while evading their Danmaku. Grazing, also known as buzzing or scratching, it's the concept of moving a player close to the bullet without actually hitting it, so as you don't actually hit your hitbox, but it hits the sprite. I don't know if you guys get it or not, but it makes up the bulk of the score at the end. In fact, most Touhou games implement this, apart from Mountain of Faith, which you can see on screen, where it has no graze bonus at all. That sucked. Now let's move on to spell cards and what they do. Both bosses and mid-bosses use spell cards when on low health. Spell cards are characterized by the drastic change in the background, along with the character's portrait sliding up the right-hand side of the screen. Spell cards are also responsible for the large patterns of Danmaku you can see on screen. When the boss or mid-boss activates a spell card, the timer at the top right-hand corner of the screen will reset. This is to allow the player to navigate the more complex patterns present in spell cards than in normal Danmaku. When you defeat a spell card or trigger another one, all the current bullets on screen will freeze and can be converted into points. Each boss and mid-boss have a set of spell cards, with a set pattern to them. The number of bullets in each pattern is dependent on the level of difficulty you have chosen. For example, on easy mode, there are very few projectiles on screen, with large gaps in Alright, enough easy mode. I'll put it another way. The more beautiful a pattern is, the higher chance it is it's gonna kill you. Whenever you start a new Touhou game, you get to choose from 4 levels of difficulty: easy, normal, hard, and lunatic. Keep in mind only psychos complete lunatic easily. Easy mode is, surprise surprise, the easiest difficulty. Now keep in mind the patterns are still quite complex and it's recommended to start at this if you're a newcomer to the series. Normal mode has faster and more plentiful bullets in each Danmaku pattern. It's a little less forgiving than easy mode. If you're rather new to the whole idea of a Danmaku game, I advise using easy or normal mode to at least get the grips of it first, before diving headfirst into the chaos ahead. Ah yes, hard mode, one of my favourite modes. In each Danmaku pattern, the number of bullets is almost doubled from normal mode. Safe areas, if any, are extremely difficult to get to. The time allocated to the player to defeat the boss or mid-boss is much less than in normal mode. Right, onto Lunatic mode. Lunatic mode is, without a doubt, the hardest difficulty known to man. You have hardly any time to defeat bosses or mid-bosses. The entire screen is taken up most of the time by enemy bullets. Oh yeah, and good luck on finding safe areas on the screen. You'll find that some of the cannon fodder fairies will start shooting loads and loads of Danmaku at you whenever you first start a level. Now that we've covered the 4 basic levels of difficulty, let's go on to the extra stages, and their difficulty levels. The extra stages of each Touhou game are considered to be a little bit more difficult than Lunatic mode. Perfect Cherry Blossom actually had 2 extra stages. Now before you can even think about challenging these, you need to complete the game on a certain level of difficulty, all the way to the end. In the embodiment of Scarlet Devil, you had to complete the game on normal mode or above, in order to unlock the extra stage. From Perfect Cherry Blossom onwards, you can complete the game on easy mode and still gain access to the extra stages. I'm sure by now you're wondering, oh hey, how many characters are in this fantastic looking game? See, there's no real easy answer. Experts have predicted that the entire cast of Touhou ranges from between 1.1 billion to 87 fuckload tons. Although that may be a conservative estimate. I've already talked about those terrible character sprites, but let's go into more detail about them. All the canon Touhou characters are little girls who are able to shoot lasers and have special powers. Those character portraits remain the same for pretty much all the Touhou games, except the fighting games. Zune, in collaboration with Twilight Frontier, created several fighting style games. They changed the art style drastically for these few games, like they gave the characters some proportions and made them look slightly human. This character sprite is of Sakuya Izayoi from Touhou Hiso Tensoku, compared to the Sakuya Izayoi sprite from the embodiment of Scarlet Devil. In case you can't see, that is a big change in the quality. I said before that there was a lot of fan-made stuff in the Touhou fandom. Touhou fans have implemented the characters from the series into different game engines. I already mentioned how they remade the Castlevania games twice, but fans also remade a whole bunch of other games, including Earth Defense Force 2017. And it didn't stop there. A bunch of people remade the Mario and Mega Man games, changing the main characters and enemies and backgrounds. If I were to list every single parody of every single game the Touhou fandom has done, I'd be here all night. I don't want to do that. In fact, I'll just list the genres of the games that the people have parodied. It's gonna be a lot easier. Alright, from the top, we got Danmaku games, beat-em-up games, card, fighting, platformers, puzzles, racing, rhythm, RPGs, we got them all, strategies, flash games, visual novels even, that was kind of unusual. There have even been several studio-quality animes produced. Perhaps the most popular one is the Fantasy Kaleidoscope series, produced by Manpaku Jinja. The Touhou animes were originally undubbed, and so only had the subtitles. However, fans were quick to offer their voices for fan dubs, and they're pretty decent as well. Let's get one thing straight, Touhou ain't anime. It's Machiavellian bullet hell shit that's tougher than if diamonds had a baby with Mega Man Zero. Anime is for pussies. Touhou's a man's game. Now we all know Zune makes the music to the games himself, but some of the pieces actually stand out amongst the others as being amazing. In the first few Touhou games, Zune used a lot of MIDI files. This was characterized by a lot of really screechy kind of trumpets, drums, and piano. Take a listen to this. This is from Touhou 9.5, Shoot the Bullet. Did you see what I mean? The soundtracks to the older games were literally just made up of pianos, trumpets, drum... Wait, that's 2/3 of the Phantom Ensemble. Well, that was the older series of games, you have to remember that. Later games began to use synthesizers as part of the background music. This resulted in some very interesting pieces. Take a listen to this. This is from Touhou 14, Double Dealing Character. Here we are at the end of our little introduction to Touhou. You may think, oh hey, this is a fun series, or oh god, this is abysmal. If you're in the latter camp and hoping to escape from this hellhole, you can't. We'll chase you forever until you succumb. Should you play any of the Touhou games? Yeah, sure, why not?